Tales of Herding Gods, Chapter 487, Chapter Translails, Editor, Dark Gem. The 26,000th birthday of High Emperor? Chinmu's heart shuddered as if struck by heavenly thunder. The year of his birth lay 20,000 years after the collapse of the founding emperor era, an era that itself had endured for 10 to 20,000 years. Did that not mean that, with a single misstep, they had been hurled 30 to 40,000 years into the past? A single teleportation by Pangong So had truly cast them across the river of time by such a vast span. Beneath the chest, Pangong So's thoughts were in utter disarray. A strange and indescribable chill coiled within his heart. He had only activated his teleportation flags with the final remnants of his magic power before it ran dry. So how could such a simple act have torn open the veil of time itself and flung him 30 to 40,000 years backward? This had to be a dream. He raised his hand, intending to pinch himself awake, but a searing pain surged from the place where his legs had been severed. The agony pierced his nerves like a blade, forcing a cry from his throat. Chinmu withdrew the long sword he had embedded in Pangong So's broken leg, his voice low and contemplative. It hurts. So this is no dream. Could it be that we've fallen into another echo of history? Are we walking within one of those illusions once more? The young girl before him had witnessed him stabbing the youth with broken legs beneath the chest, and fury immediately blossomed on her delicate face. How could you bully someone who's already crippled? What use are your looks if your heart is so cruel? Heartless man! With a flick of her sleeve, she turned to leave. Good sister, wait a moment. Chinmu called out hurriedly, stepping forward to stop her. Hearing his voice, the girl found it difficult to refuse. She paused, turning back, only to see him approach and raise his hand to cup her cheek. Her face flushed crimson, and she wriggled shyly beneath his touch. What are you doing? We've only just met. How can you be so forward? And you're so strange. You carry a bizarre chest, a massive pig, and you even bully the disabled. My father and my brother will not like you. My father is extremely powerful, and my brother too. They would beat you to death. Don't act like this. Chinmu stood frozen, as though struck by divine lightning. His mind roared with disbelief. It's real. You are alive, flesh and blood. This is no echo of history. We've truly returned to the past, to the High Emperor era. Is it possible to traverse time itself? The girl blinked in confusion, her brows knitting together. What are you talking about? What is an echo of history? What past? What is time tra? Before she could finish her questions, a young man and woman, leaning gently against one another, approached. The young man exclaimed in surprise, Kuer, who is this? The young girl's cheeks deepened in color as she lowered her gaze. Brother, I think I've found someone I like. Pangong So crawled out from beneath the chest, intending to coax the dragon Chillin into licking his wounded leg, only to be struck like thunder by the girl's words. He spat on the ground in disdain. She likes him just like that? Just because of his appearance? Handsome yet useless. Chinmu remained dazed, lost in the storm of his own thoughts. The young man shook his head and whispered to Baiquer, This person appears spiritless, like a puppet without a soul. The world is filled with talented youths. Why would you choose him? The woman beside him smiled faintly. Sister, don't listen to your brother. He only knows how to recommend so-called geniuses and never cares for your heart. Speaking of which, how long have you two known each other? The young girl lowered her head, her voice soft as a whisper. Just now. The woman covered her mouth, speechless. You've only just met, and you already like him? The young man laughed in anger, his gaze darkening as it fell upon Chinmu. The daughter of our Bai family must stand as a hero of this age. Do you think you are worthy of my sister? He roared. His aura erupted like a tempest, shaking heaven and earth. Brilliant rays of light flared behind him, and from within them rose a primordial spirit, a human form bearing the head and tail of a dragon. Its presence exuded a suffocating majesty. Pangong So's jaw dropped in shock. A true dragon primordial spirit. That's not right. Shouldn't it be a green dragon primordial spirit? He's not one of the 4 great spirit bodies. How could this be? He exclaimed. Chinmu snapped back to awareness and gazed at the primordial spirit, his heart trembling. So it's true. This world does not only contain the 4 great spirit bodies, there are others beyond them. The youth extended his hand, his fingers merging with draconic claws, crackling with lightning. "Come, let me test your strength." As his claws moved, the texture of his corporeal body transformed, runic patterns blooming across his flesh. Within a single grasp lay the transformations of 100 divine arts, concealed within the shifting of his fingers. This was an unparalleled corporeal body divine art of the highest order. Chinmu retreated swiftly, narrowly evading the strike. The youth's fingers brushed together, and thunder exploded beside Chinmu, hurling him high into the sky. The youth leaped upward, pursuing him like a soaring dragon. Pangong-so tilted his head, astonished. This Bai youth must belong to the dragon race. Otherwise, he could not have cultivated corporeal body divine arts to such perfection. At such a young age, he has already reached the celestial being realm. Were all cultivators of the High Emperor era this monstrous? Having lived for 10,000 years, Pangong-so had traversed distant seas and encountered dragon experts. He knew their might well, and to reach celestial being realm so young was truly rare. Baikir panicked, her voice trembling. "Brother, don't hurt him!" The woman beside her smiled gently, restraining her. "Your brother is doing this for your sake, to see whether this young man is worthy of you. Once your brother approves, your father will not oppose you. Think about it. If your father made a move, your little lover would already be reduced to shattered bones." Baikir nodded in realization, smiling faintly. Sister-in-law truly is wise, but, her brows furrowed with worry, brother is so strong, what if he injures him? "Do not worry," the woman replied. "Your brother understands restraint. He will suppress his cultivation to match your little lover's level." High above, Chinmu darted through the air, but the youth's power was overwhelming. Each movement of his fingers and palm unleashed corporeal body divine arts, far surpassing ordinary spell techniques. His attacks reached 300 yards and struck with terrifying speed, forcing Chinmu to open all his divine treasures. Bang, bang, bang! 3 explosive sounds erupted from Chinmu's body. The youth frowned, disappointment flickering across his face. "Six Directions realm? Your cultivation is too weak. Very well. I shall fight you at the same realm and test your talent and comprehension." He sealed his celestial being divine treasure and 7 stars divine treasure. The primordial spirit behind him vanished, yet his combat strength remained astonishing. His fingers and palms shifted unpredictably as he launched relentless attacks. Pangong-so watched in shock. This Bai youth is extraordinarily gifted. His corporeal body divine art surpasses mine. If we fought at the same realm, I would not win. But isn't that brat Chin at the 7 stars realm? At that very moment, a thunderous explosion shook the heavens. The Bai youth was blasted away like a meteor, streaking across the sky above the grand city. The 2 girls below were stunned speechless. Pangong-so, however, found it entirely expected and sneered inwardly. "That brat Chin is at 7 stars realm, and so am I. If I took his punch head-on, even my bones would shatter, and yet you dared to meet him at 6 Directions realm? See how miserable you are now?" The youth returned even faster, fury blazing. 6 Directions realm cannot possess such power. You must be at 7 stars realm. Then I shall fight you at 7 stars realm. Boom! He was blasted away once more. A towering god standing upon a building extended his hand and caught him. With a smile, he remarked, "Young city lord, Qingfu has been sent flying again. Have you found your match?" Bai Qingfu laughed in anger, breaking free from the god's palm and charging back toward Chinmu. "Even if your magic power is vast, what of it? Witness my divine arts." He surged forward, his fist technique transforming endlessly, filling the sky with dragon claws. Gales and thunder roared toward Chinmu, his robes fluttering wildly. A ferocious aura pressed upon him like a beast ready to devour. Casting aside all distractions, he activated the Overlord Body 3 Elixir technique. His eyes shone with excitement. "Let me see. How do the paths, techniques, and divine arts of the High Emperor era compare to those of later generations? Tempest of the 9 dragons." They collided, and ripples surged outward. Dragon-shaped currents of air burst forth, racing in all directions. Aang. Suddenly, dragon-shaped energies exploded across the sky as 10,000 dragons roared in unison. Their energies intertwined and clashed violently in midair. The 2 fighters stepped upon these dragons, weaving through the sky past towering gods who watched with delighted smiles, praising the spectacle. Below, countless citizens halted, gazing upward in awe. Many soared into the sky to witness the battle more clearly. One god chuckled. All of you step back. Do not interfere. I shall illuminate them so you may see better. His eyes flared with light, casting two brilliant beams upon Qinmu and Bai Qingfu. Another god approached, his features imposing, his eyes like those of a dragon, majestic and awe-inspiring. City Lord Bai, the gathered gods greeted. The newcomer waved a hand and studied Qinmu. This youth is extraordinary. His techniques bear traces of Buddhism, yet his magic power is immense. His cultivation also carries the aura of my dragon race. Strange, truly strange, he murmured. Bai Qingfu battled for a long while, yet gained no advantage. Let us cross swords with spirit weapons, he shouted. Dragon-shaped vital chi surged forth, a dragon pearl spinning within it. From the pearl erupted countless sharp swords, flying toward Qinmu like a storm of dragons. Qinmu had been holding back, wishing to observe the arts of the High Emperor era. But Bai Qingfu's dragon swords were exceptionally sharp. He could no longer restrain himself. Though his sword techniques are refined, they remain bound within the 14 fundamental sword forms. He has not transcended them. With a flick of his hand, Qinmu opened his Taoti sack. A sword pellet flew into his grasp. As he caught it, 8,000 swords poured forth like flowing sand between his fingers. Mid-air, sword techniques collided. Bai Qingfu groaned as over 100 wounds opened across his body, sending him tumbling from the sky. Qinmu extended a finger. Countless flying swords returned, gathering above it and reforming into a spinning sword pellet. Marvelous swordsmanship! Cheers erupted as Qinmu glanced around to see over 100 gods gathered, their towering forms flickering beneath the night sky. Startled, Qinmu cupped his fists in greeting. A booming laugh rang out as a middle-aged man strode through the air as if walking upon solid ground. He approached Qinmu, who instinctively raised his head to meet his gaze. Truly a prodigy, the man laughed heartily. Whose disciple are you? Your abilities are remarkable, and you seem to cultivate the techniques of my dragon race. Qinmu's thoughts raced before he replied, I am Qinmu. I arrived here by chance and once obtained a dragon's nest containing writings of the dragon race. From those, I cultivated these techniques. Bai Qingfu flew over, his tone sincere. Your abilities are exceptional. Even among the celestial heavens, you would stand out. Brother Qin, this is my father, Bai Yuting, the city lord of 100 Prosperities City. Qinmu immediately offered his greetings. At that moment, the thunder of war drums echoed from the darkness beyond the city. Bai Yuting's expression darkened as he spoke solemnly. It is from Fomalhaut. The extraterritorial devils are invading once more. Leave 4 men to guard the gates. The rest, follow me. With that, he led the assembled gods into the distance. Qinmu stood stunned. Fomalhaut? Was that not the high official whose skeleton I awakened? He gazed toward the departing army and saw countless lanterns glowing in the darkness, forming a silver line. The divine city of Fomalhaut in the sky. Since the sky darkened, evil devils have invaded frequently, but there is no need for concern, Bai Qingfu said. Brother Qin, your swordsmanship surpasses my fist techniques. Would you be willing to teach me? Qinmu smiled. There are dragon scriptures I do not understand. I would also like Brother Bai's guidance. As they descended, Peng Gongso's expression shifted. He shook his head urgently and transmitted his voice to Qinmu. Be careful. If we alter history, we may never find our way back. Translator Ninetails, Editor Dark Gem. Qinmu escorted the chest alongside Bai Qingfu, Bai Quer, and the others back to the manor of 100 Prosperities City. Throughout the journey, his thoughts churned endlessly around Peng Gongso's words, and a restless unease lingered in his heart like a shadow that refused to disperse. Though Peng Gongso stood as his mortal enemy, he was nevertheless an ancient fiend who had endured 10,000 years. His knowledge was as vast as the sea, and his words, however unpleasant, carried a weight of truth that could not be ignored. The era they now tread upon had already come to an end, no less than 30,000 years ago. The High Emperor era teetered on the brink of collapse, a doomed age with no salvation in sight. For reasons unknown, they had arrived here upon Xing'an's chest. Yet, if their actions were to alter the course of events, would not the river of history itself be rewritten? If history were rewritten, would the founding emperor era still come to pass? Would eternal peace still exist beneath the heavens? Most crucial of all, would they themselves still remain within this world? A single shift, even as trivial as the displacement of a strand of hair, could ripple outward into a cataclysm that overturned the fate of all future generations. Brother Chin, Brother Pan, do not trouble your hearts. Fomalhaut encircles the heavens as a shield. Its might is immense, and the celestial heavens possess power even more terrifying. With High Emperor personally presiding over the battlefield, nothing will go amiss. Bai Qingfu invited them to sit, and soon the manor was illuminated by lantern light. Dragon pearls floated high in the air, casting radiance that bathed the surroundings as though it were broad daylight. Seeing Qinmu's troubled expression, Bai Qingfu surmised that he feared for the safety of the front lines and offered words of comfort. Fomalhaut has clashed with them countless times. They will not allow the enemy to breach their defenses. Though the extraterritorial devils hail from a formidable force, our 100 Prosperities city is no place to be underestimated. Fomalhaut stands among the 4 great legions of the celestial heavens. It is exceedingly powerful. Qinmu's mind drifted to the skeletal remains of Fomalhaut's gods scattered across the Golden Desert, and his unease deepened. Those divine beings had perished in battle, defending their homeland with their lives. Who could say whether that very battle was the one unfolding now? Perhaps we are already part of history. No matter what we do, what has happened will still happen. A sudden thought pierced through Qinmu's mind like a flash of lightning. Perhaps I am merely caught within the strange anomalies of the great ruins. I have once experienced echoes of history. Could all of this be but a reverberation across time and space? Grandmaster's teleportation divine art should not possess the might to cast us tens of thousands of years into the past. Perhaps this is only a reflection of time and space, a mirage born of the great ruin's strangeness. The past is cast forward upon our bodies. When dawn arrives, everything will dissipate like mist, and history will proceed along its destined course, regardless of our actions. Having reached this conclusion, the weight upon his heart lifted, and he grew calm once more. Freed of his burden, he conversed cheerfully with the siblings, even exchanging insights and techniques in swordsmanship. The brother and sister were struck with profound astonishment. Bai Qingfu exclaimed, "Beyond the 14 foundational sword techniques, there are 4 more? Who could have created them? What kind of genius possesses such boundless passion and insight?" Qinmu hesitated briefly, his voice uncertain, before revealing the truth. The one who established the 15th, 16th, and 17th sword forms is a sage who appears once every 500 years. His talent and fervor are so extraordinary that even I can only admire him without end. A sage who appears once every 500 years? Bai Quer blinked in confusion and asked, "Brother Mu, is there some tale behind such a title?" Qinmu himself was not deeply familiar with its origins. "I have heard that once every 5 centuries, this world births a peerless genius. One whose innate talent overflows beyond measure. He establishes virtue, achievements, and doctrines, leaving behind teachings that endure through time, thus becoming known as a sage of 500 years. As for the origin of this saying, I do not know." "I see." The siblings came to an understanding. Bai Qingfu's wife smiled gently and said, "Our 100 Prosperity city is but a small place, not even ranked among the divine cities. It is only natural that we are ignorant of such matters. Old Brother Qin must hail from a grand region possessing vast knowledge." Bai Qer grew anxious and whispered softly, "Sister-in-law, will he look down upon me for coming from such a small place?" Bai Qingfu's wife chuckled lightly. "Though 100 Prosperity City is modest, you are still the Bai family's little princess. Your standing is more than sufficient. Do not worry. Besides, affinity between hearts outweighs any measure of status." Only then did Bai Quer's tension ease. Bai Qingfu, still curious, asked, "Old Brother Qin mentioned that the 3 sword forms were created by that sage. Then who created the 18th sword form?" Qinmu's face flushed slightly as he replied, "The 18th sword form was something I devised by accident." A tremor ran through everyone present. Even Pang Gong So, his face ashen, could not conceal his shock. Within his heart surged a tumult of jealousy and admiration. That brat Qin, to have created a foundational sword form and altered the path of heaven and earth itself. We are finished, utterly finished. This reckless fool is imparting the techniques of future generations to the past. History is being twisted beyond recognition. We will all vanish. Qinmu and the others continued their conversation with laughter and wit. Later, he retrieved the true dragon's nest and invited Bai Qingfu and Bai Care within, asking for their assistance in deciphering the inscriptions. Though he had already unraveled many of them, countless dragon scripts still eluded his understanding. The siblings were of the dragon race. When Bai Qingfu had previously exchanged blows with Qinmu, he had displayed true dragon divine arts, revealing the purity and nobility of his bloodline. This is a dragon vein of a true dragon lord? Upon entering the nest, the siblings were utterly astonished. Bai Qingfu said, "What a pity, this true dragon lord has been refined into a treasure. Otherwise, it could have absorbed other dragon veins and ascended to become a true dragon king. To reduce it to a mere pendant is a tragic waste." Bai Care echoed his sentiment. The dragon ancestor of the celestial heavens was born from such a dragon vein. His strength is unparalleled, one of the foremost figures within the celestial heavens. Even High Emperor must show him a measure of respect. As it was not a treasure Qinmu himself could refine, the siblings did not dwell on it further. They assisted Qinmu in deciphering the dragon inscriptions. Bai Qingfu grew increasingly excited as their work progressed. "Old brother Qin, we have truly profited immensely from your generosity. Our Bai family has gained greatly. Not only have we learned your sword techniques, but we have also comprehended the dragon scripts of a true dragon lord's nest. For you, these scripts may offer limited improvement, but for us, the gains are immeasurable." His words were true. Qinmu was not of the dragon race, and thus could not cultivate the techniques of the true dragon lord with the same speed or depth. By assisting him, the siblings had reaped benefits surpassing even his own. Bai Quer's heart brimmed with delight as she thought, if he were to present the dragon language of this nest as a betrothal gift, Father would surely be overjoyed and agree to our union. I only wonder if he is already married. Though even if he is, it matters not. The siblings continued to decipher the dragon language piece by piece, imparting their findings to Qinmu, yet some inscriptions still remained beyond their grasp. If only Father were here, Bai Quer said, her eyes gleaming as she smiled sweetly. His bloodline surpasses ours. He would surely be able to decipher all of these scripts. Brother Mu, why not remain in 100 Prosperity City for a few more days until he returns? Qinmu nodded. He was already content with his gains. The siblings had unraveled nearly all of the dragon scripts, leaving only a 10th unresolved. The techniques of the true dragon lord advanced by leaps and bounds, growing ever more formidable. Bai Qingfu attempted to circulate the technique, and immediately felt his cultivation surge. His foundation solidified, filling the gaps that once weakened him. Overjoyed, he exclaimed, "Old brother Qin, had I cultivated this technique earlier, you might not have defeated me at the same realm." As they stepped out of the dragon's nest, Qinmu stored it back into the touty sack. Smiling, he shook his head. Even if brother had cultivated the true dragon lord's technique, victory would not be guaranteed. I am the overlord body. Within the same realm, I seldom encounter an equal. Bai Quer's eyes widened in astonishment, and Bai Qingfu stood dumbfounded. Overlord body? Old brother Qin, what is this overlord body? Bai Qingfu asked earnestly. I have spent most of my life within the vicinity of 100 Prosperity City, only venturing to the celestial heavens a handful of times to hear true gods expound their Tao. My knowledge is shallow. I have never heard of this overlord body. Old brother Qin must have traveled far and wide. May I ask for your guidance? Qinmu was about to explain when a burst of laughter rang out. Qingfu, such a distinguished guest has arrived at your Bai family, yet you did not inform us? Qingfu, I saw you getting beaten earlier. Who told you to be so arrogant? Now you've been humiliated before the entire city. Qinmu turned toward the voices and saw a group of young men and women approaching, each one radiant with vigor and extraordinary presence. Bai Qingfu quickly said, "These are the young elites of 100 Prosperity City. They've come to mock me. Old brother Qin, allow me to introduce them." He did so and afterward spoke of Qinmu's creation of the 18th sword form and his identity as the overlord body. The crowd was struck with amazement. One youth stepped forward, his battle intent blazing as he shouted, "Overlord body Qin! You claim your physique allows you to suppress all peers and stand invincible within the same realm, but I do not believe it. I request your guidance." Chinmu rose with a smile. "I was just thinking of exchanging pointers with everyone here." The youth's form shifted as he transformed into a humanoid figure with a bird's head, golden wings unfurled, and he soared into the sky. Chinmu followed, rising into the air. Their clash erupted amidst the heavens, dazzling those below and drawing cheers from the crowd. Moments later, the youth's sword technique was shattered, and he plummeted back to the ground. "Let me face Overlord Body Chin." A young woman could no longer restrain herself and launched an attack. She too was of the dragon race, her path fierce and domineering. Her divine arts surged with explosive power between her fingers and palms. Chinmu executed the great educational heavenly devil scripture. Drawing upon the great overarching heavenly star's force, over 300 divine arts burst forth like a celestial firmament, forcing the young woman back to the ground. "Marvelous divine art!" Praise rose from below as another young man leapt into the sky. After several exchanges, Chinmu struck him down with a blade. One after another they advanced, yet all were defeated. Baiquer, eyes shining with excitement, whispered, "Sister-in-law, what do you think of him?" "Outstanding, truly outstanding." Bai Qingfu's wife smiled wryly. "I am beginning to worry for you." Baiquer also felt a flicker of unease. Overlord Body Chin is indeed worthy of the title. Bai Qingfu laughed heartily and invited Chinmu to sit once more. Sweeping his gaze across the crowd, he called out, "Do you all think old brother Chin could ascend to the celestial heavens and teach those arrogant prodigies a lesson?" The crowd burst into laughter. "He could." One young woman smiled and said, "Brother Chin's techniques and divine arts feel as though they belong to an era ahead of ours. They are strange, wondrous, and deeply thought-provoking. It feels as though countless possibilities could be derived from his paths, skills, and divine arts, pushing the cultivation of our High Emperor era to its very limits." The others nodded in agreement. "We feel the same." Bai Qingfu then proposed, "Old brother Qin, once the Battle of Fomalhaut concludes, let us ascend to the celestial heavens together and overturn those arrogant fellows. Do you all agree?" "Yes." Their laughter soared into the sky. Chinmu laughed as well, engaging them in further exchanges of Tao, techniques, and divine arts, never once considering that his actions might be altering history itself. In a shadowed corner of the banquet, Pangongso's face had turned utterly ashen. He glanced at the dragon Qilin, now bloated from its feast, and at the chest lurking in darkness. His thoughts trembled. This is not merely altering history. This is tearing holes straight through it. We are finished. Utterly finished. There will be no returning. We may vanish at any moment. Terror gripped his heart. Even the 18th sword form has been passed down to them by this scoundrel. Heaven and earth are overturning. Curse you, Chin Brat. You will drag me down to ruin. Within the banquet hall, laughter rang out as wine flowed freely. Soon, everyone grew drunk, staggering about in merriment. Gathering her courage, Baiquer grasped Chinmu's hand and pulled him into a dance. His face flushed red, unable to break free. He could only follow her movements, drawing hearty laughter from all around. At that very moment, a thunderous rumble echoed from the distance, as though the heavens themselves were collapsing. Darkness and raging air currents surged forward like a tidal wave, crashing into 100 Prosperity's city and shaking it violently.